Hello and welcome to Worldwide People's Championships. We are on week 4 and this is U1700. Here we're actually going to have just a 1v1 best of 3 challenger tournament and decide who gets to play SSSS. The Romanian player, and here we got the Tempest from Ukraine and Swakle, who is American. Of course, Swakle going UEF second air, 6 gens. Also got a YouTube channel, got some really good videos and casts, in case people haven't seen them yet. And the Tempest going Aeon, and it looks like he didn't want Aeon, that was an accident, but he's going to go second air as well, and it's actually very good on this map. It's very open, choke points are not very effective. Oh wow, it looks like it's kind of interesting that all this disappears when you're... Sometimes people asked how to get rid of things disappearing on you. You can do that. Set those two numbers to some large values. Problem is anything that's new is gonna not have these problems. So if it's already been rendered, it doesn't get reset. So here we got the Tempest. Of course, also the Tempest is playing in U2000. In case people are wondering, you can play in both U1700 and U2000. If your rating is underneath U1700, you can see the Tempest is close to 1500. Swakle just a little higher. The Swakle is coming in with a couple of Mech Marines on either side. Of course, good defense here from this Aurora. He's going to try to protect this engineer. I'm saying no chance playing this way too fast. Just one thing I gotta say about this map, one of my favorite maps of all time. I used to play Aeon all the time on the rank ladder, and I would have this as my thumb up. Playing with Aeon, you can really dominate. But of course the middle here, huge amounts of mass, not just in these detector power generators, but also in these little trucks. Also some flak, so you don't want to fly there. But it is protected by 4 Tech 1 gens, so you gotta get there, but you gotta break through that, and you usually see the ACUs fight over that position. So if you don't know what you're doing on this map, you get screwed right away. But if you go up against 2 people who have ideas about how to capture these civilians first, you get some really interesting middle fights. Of course, besides that fight, you also have 4 equivalent bases, so there's a lot of very spread out mass extractors, a lot of chances for raiding, also making secret bases and hiding units. And so far it looks like Swakle a little quicker on the map control. Actually a significant advantage, and he's also coming in with some bombers. So just bombing some Tech 1 power generators. We do see an air factory not producing any interceptors, and we gotta say, looking at Tempest build, he's already working on his 5th land factory here, or 4th land factory total, 5th factory, and he's only started his power generator production. That's why he stopped. He hasn't made anything with this air factory because he has no power at this point, especially when you make all those mass extractors. You're always using power and all those expanding engineers. You need to get... actually, you got a bomber here from the Tempest. Looks like it did some damage. Actually killed off a couple dead engineers. So good work from the Tempest. While I was talking and saying his build is not that good, he was doing damage. And you can see here, this can be a huge difference. Swakle actually taking quite a bit of damage from the civs, but it doesn't look like he's going to get attacked by the Tempest at all. And Tempest doing crazy things with his ACU. Looks like he isn't very familiar with this map. It's a map from an old rank ladder, and from the GBG net rank ladder. Actually, the old version of the GBG net ladder. I think they actually got rid of it toward the end. I'm not really sure why. So if Tempest is really new, he probably doesn't know about how to play this map properly. Probably my apologies for choosing this one. I just really like this map. Hopefully it makes a comeback. This Aurora with 4 kills, but freshly made striker takes it out. But one thing that's very strange, looks like Swakle is going to take over this middle. He's going to get huge amounts of reclaim. Each one of these is 1,000 reclaim. That is about 20 tanks, so about as many as we see here. It's all in just this little chunk of mass. He's got the middle and all the reclaim, but Tempest is beginning to surround him, and Tempest also has quite a significant force moving down. It's going to be an interesting fight on the bottom, but it's really interesting that Tempest is moving directly towards Swakle's base. He's got, what, his 5th land factory being produced. and the Tempest is not stopping. There is a point defense now going to be constructed. But one thing that's great about the Tempest, he is bringing artillery, and that's especially AN artillery, just absolutely devastating against Tech 1 point defenses. And we used to say, and I think quite a few of the casters say, Cybern is like underused. I think Cybern is no longer underused. I think Aeon is the new neglected faction, and which is just insane because it used to be the greatest faction, and it still is extremely powerful. Its biggest weakness is that these Auroras get countered by Tech 1 air very easily. But besides that, they're just absolutely brutal. You just gotta know how to use them. And one thing that they do very well is break Tech 1 point defenses. You can see these arties, they don't miss. And that attempt by Swackle to save his base with 2 Tech 1 point defenses was absolutely unsuccessful. You see other fights going on this map. One on top, it looks like 2 proxy, 2 factories out in the field that are in a competition, and it looks like Swackle is going to take over the top left corner. On the bottom, he's also having quite a bit of success. So if it wasn't for Swackle's main base, he'd be in absolute control. Tempest's main base does look pretty good. He's got major Tech 1 land spam, he's got air factories. He's actually going Tech 2 on mass extractor, halfway done on it. Pretty good power as well. Looks like the bombers have taken out all of the Tempest's support for his ACU, and he's under major fire from Tech 1 bombers. More Tech 1 point defenses. These are very important. They are going to save all these Tech 1 power generators, which are crucial for the Tempest. And here, minute 12, it looks very bad for the Tempest. I mean, if we look at the Eco Swackle, he's reclaimed 2,000. Still has a whole bunch to reclaim. He's got an engineering factory here, 4 extra mass extractors. You can see most of the map. He's on all 4 corners and an end in the middle. Total control on the bottom, total control on the top. Trying to make an assault on Tempest base, which is not successful. He does have Tempest, who just completely ran over his base, but he's bombing him. And now it looks like the Tempest is able to get an air force up. That air force is going to take away the bomber threat, and Tempest can begin to build a new base. So, looking in terms of the score, Tempest is not doing that best. It looks like his main base is very good. Really looking at Swackle's situation here, he has a lot of map control, but he doesn't have a base that he's established for a long time. And he's actually quite vulnerable. If we see some artillery, which we don't yet, and if Tempest breaks these Tech 1 point defenses, we will see Swackle lose power, except now he's making Tech 2 power. Swackle's ACU at Tech 2 power in the middle. And if you put some cruise missiles in the middle, it's going to make it very devastating for the Tempest. Something like a Tech 2 power or Tech 2 mass extractor is going to be very vulnerable. Great target. Swackle does have, looks like the bases on the diagonal belong to Swackle, while the Tempest has the base on the bottom. And here comes the artillery, single artillery. Will make short work. You can see the very rapid fire. There is really no splash. Very accurate. Very easy to dodge if you can move your unit, but impossible to dodge if you can't. And the Tempest is going to go ahead and take both of the starting positions for the first and second player. Also very interesting, a secret base here for the Tempest. That might be a problem later for Swackle if he doesn't spot it. But Swackle in a very good position in the middle, shield and power. So in terms of power economy, he's way ahead, but looks like this is a significant force here from the Tempest. Where's the Tech 2? And a Tech 2 land factory from Swackle. We're going to see Auroras versus Mongoose. Mongoose generally considered the counter to the Auroras. You can see they have longer range. And if you've got Auroras and you're facing the Mongoose, you got to get close to them and kill them. You can't let them kite you. But of course the Mongoose have a great place to retreat to, this Tech 1 point defense. So very well played by Swackle there. And this secret base is now going to begin to make its presence felt, but it looks like a Tech 1 point defense will put an end to that fun. Tempest has a factory and a Tech 1 point defense. He probably has decent reclaim now, 45,000. So much eco that he's not using, which is very surprising. And actually Swackle now going on an assault against Tempest main base. Tempest has Tech 2 here. He does have a couple obsidians, but Swackle with his Tech 2 ACU is going to go ahead and move in directly at Tempest's starting position, and he does have some units in support. He does have a Tech 2-point defense in support, and against the Tech 2-point defense creep from a UEF ACU, I think this base is doomed, which means Tempest needs to think of a new base. Meanwhile, Tempest, great stuff here. He went around Swakal's Tech 2 force and took out the Tech 2 factory. Major loss for Swakal on the top. On the bottom here, it looks like Swakal has found out about the secret base. He's going to find it, kill it. Still total air domination. And these are some major assets for Tempest in this base. Tech 2 land factory, multiple Tech 2 mass extractors, quite a bit of power. A single striker here just going at it. So Tempest needs to start building something new in this position. He does have a Tech 2 ACU. He's making Tech 2 power. He's got to get more factories, more build capacity, grab all that mass, get a new Tech 2 land factory, because he is quite a bit of trouble. He's trying to get a Tech 2 point defense going. Swakal actually just hanging out and not doing anything. Now he's going to get a new one. It's really going to be a Tech 2 point defense competition between these two players. I think Obsidians are a bad idea. I think all these engineers need to be guarding this Tech 2 engineer, getting some shields to Tech 2 point defenses to make Swakal a little more reluctant. But now Swakal is going to do the right thing. He's going to move in with some artillery, completely deny all the constructed point defenses. This shield's quite nice, but won't make it. Obsidians and Blazes take out the Arty, but Swakal in support with 2 Tech 2 point defenses. Probably an overcharge against those Obsidians would look very nice right now. He's not doing that. And of course, this Tech 2 tank, the best Tech 2 tank in terms of, oh yeah, not that good against the overcharge. So things looking really bad for the Tempest. It's either the Obsidian or the Ilshava, depending on how you want to use your units. It looks like a new Tech 2 factory here for the Tempest. Still major problems here on the bottom. And it's not really clear who's going to grab this. The Blaze is going to take care of the tank, killing the power. More Tech 2 point defenses. And actually Swakal here in quite a bit of trouble. A bit surprised that Swakal didn't make more point defenses here too. He was just sort of hanging out. He got hit by a bunch of Tech 2 point defense. Now he's got to run. He's actually in danger of dying. Tempest controlling that top base means he's actually got sort of map control, because he has just achieved victory on the bottom. So this is one of the strangest games I've actually ever seen. This is quite ridiculous. And here come Tech 1 bombers. Looks like they're going after a Tech 2 point defense protected by a shield, so that was a total failure. Which means Swakal needs to come up with new ideas. He does have a new Tech 2 land factory, mobile missile launchers, and a new base, a new point defense, and a shield for Swakal. A bit of a point defense creep, but we do see mobile missile launchers for Swakal. So Swakal still has not completely ran away from this position. Surprisingly, Tempest still making Obsidians. If he's making Obsidians in this situation, they need to be out in the field killing things. For example, killing this base. A couple Obsidians and Arty would absolutely decimate the top, which would leave Swakal just with the middle base. And I think that would be really close to the end for Swakal. Very surprisingly, Tempest taking a long time to grab all these mass extractors. Also going Tech 2 air, which could be very interesting. Of course, Aeon Tech 2 air features the Mercy, which can turn any game on its head anytime. But it looks like mobile missile launcher is getting success here for Swakal. So if Swakal can break this base, which looks like he should be able to, given it enough time, he will be in a pretty big control. A bit of a nair fight. Looks like, I'm not really sure what's going on. Looks like Tempest just chasing down a couple interceptors from Swakal. Swakal is just going to grab these interceptors and kill them. Looks like there's a significant part of the Tempest Air Force didn't follow. And on the bottom, the Tempest is going to take over. Still some, it's a tank kill. Mongoose for Swakal on the left side. There are a couple Obsidians in that position as well. Love to see the Tempest be a little more aggressive with his forces. And here come a whole bunch of bombers from Swakal. Go after Tempest's fresh new base. Not really sure where they're going to be attacking. Yeah, the tech. Yeah, it's going to take 20 or 10 bombs, about 11 bombs to kill that. So it's down to 600 health. Take 4 bombs to kill that one. It looks like finally the Tempest's main base is falling. Tech 2 factory is dead. A couple Tech 1 point defenses and factories. Huge amounts of reclaim for Swackle, and Swackle is now pretty much in control of this one. Still has some problems on the bottom. Still has to deal with this Aeon Tech 2 air threat, and it looks like gunships are coming out for Tempest. I really think Tempest has been in position to take over the top base though, which he hasn't done that. That's one big difference between really good players, is that they, with their aggression, they're able to use the advantage that they have. Quite a lot of times don't realize the advantage that they have, and that's a combination of scouting and aggression. In an ideal situation, that was a mercy that was wasted. In an ideal situation, you would have perfect scouting and then make the perfect decision at the right time, but sometimes you got to kind of make up for the lack of aggression with those mercies are going to die. This is tragic. Mercies have a finite fuel amount, and if you just make them fly, they will die. You got to make up for scouting with some aggression. Just assume that you're in a better position and go for it. And of course, during that attack, if you see that was a mistake, just go ahead and retreat. But these gunships are going to be quite interesting from the Tempest. I think this is definitely the right choice. They can definitely kill all these units easily. But he's going somewhere else. I think, yeah, he's got these mercies. This is a good plan, but the mercies ran out of fuel. I think if mercies had a little more fuel, and if it was a different path that was taken, Swackle would have been dead. Tech 2 flag is taken out. We see emergency Tech 1 flag going up. And I think the Tempest going for a kill a bit early. He could have absolutely massacred this force with some Tech 2 gunships. Been a huge loss for Swackle. Instead, it's a bit of a downer there for the Tempest. Good idea, poor execution. Not really sure what that upgrade was. Oh, we see more gunships coming out. And finally, this Tech 2 force is moving in. It should have success. Could have had success 10 minutes ago. Now it's actually in a little more difficult position. I still think if these Obsidians are given the chance, there's actually a shield here, they should be able to kill this force. And now, big problem. This is the force that could have been easily killed by gunships. It's now going to make things very difficult for the Tempest. Tempest actually down to a single base now. And now this is a very difficult situation for Tempest. Looks like he is getting Tech 3. Sitting a couple of Tech 2 power generators. Not too much Tech 2 power. Some Tech 2 flak, but really the only force that still can do anything is these Obsidians. They're in the battle quite late, but they will continue to do damage. Is that going to be a capture? It'd be nice to see a capture. And this force from Swackle that absolutely ran everything over is not coming in. It's going to come in from behind Tempest. Tempest actually going for shield, it seems. He's got personal shield. It's going to be very difficult to kill. But he just doesn't have many units. And it appears that Swackle has completely lost the top. He's got a couple NGs, but yeah, and some NGs are finally moving up in that direction, going to get factories. It's going to take Tempest a long time to take control of the top left position. And this factory has been alive since the very beginning of the game. It's been a big nuisance for Swackle. Can't believe he still hasn't killed it. Meanwhile, some Tech 2 point defense, Tech 1 point defenses, taking out this force. It has done so much damage. This Mongoose has 21 kills. So definitely a veteran. He's going to move out of range, start attacking Tech 2 mask extractors. While the Tempest, see what all the different things he's got. He got Tech 2 engineering, he's got a shield, and he's got rapid fire. And he's going into battle. He's going to go into battle against a very big base. A Tech 3 land, making Titans. Multiple power generators, and it looks like he's going in alone. He is making Tech 2 land and support, getting more Tech 2 mask extractors.
And actually, this secret factory has been one of the better units in the game. As soon as people leave, they just come back from the forest and go ahead and take this base again. And now Tempest going up against Tech 3 with the ACU shield. Love to him. Yeah, there's an overcharge right there. Of course, it's so much health on this unit. You should be able to win this battle. And that'll be very difficult to kill. 42 kills for the Tempest. And new factory. So, looks like Swackle letting the Tempest back in the game. Looking at what Swackle's up to. He's getting some ACU upgrades of his own. He's got all these mass extractors capped. A whole bunch of power and tech to point defenses. So defensively, this is a very strong position for Swackle. He's very weak on the sides, however. And this is just ridiculous. Swackle building mass extractors in front of a couple of units. And the Tempest is now on assault. He's going to be taking on a bunch of Perseus. And that's going to be a very dangerous game. Perseus with very long range. Tempest is in full retreat. His shield is dead. You can see a bit of dodging action. Tempest down to 3,000 health. If these Perseus just pursued, Tempest would be dead. Instead, the Perseus shooting at the wrong units. Tempest is in a race for his shield. And this is pretty ridiculous. 2 more shots and the Tempest would have been dead. It looks like he's going to make it to his shield. Perseus, meanwhile, are going to do quite a bit of damage. Artillery moving in as well, and not secure in this area for Swackle is going to be a problem. There's a bunch of Tech 1 units now moving out, plus engineers grabbing the free mass. And it looks like the Tempest here, a couple overcharges against the Perseus. Can't believe the Perseus didn't kill him. I think they were shooting at the wrong units. And once they get too close to the tech to point defense, then they take too many shots. So 3 really nice chunks of mass for the Tempest. Very important victory. I think this might actually let him back into the game because theoretically he does have map control. More Tech 3 coming out. Of course, with some Titans, I think Swackle could easily wipe out both of the side bases. Not sure if that's what he's going for, but Swackle taking his time, minute 37, making Tech 3 power. Coming in with a new assault force, 3 more Perseus and a bunch of artillery. We're seeing Tech 3 land for the Tempest, and with enough Tech 3 land, the Tempest might be able to secure some of the sides. And theoretically, he should be in a good position with Tech 3 land and 3 bases versus 2. Of course, cruise missiles in the central base might be a problem later. And once again, the Tempest looks like his shield is recharging. He needs to get some overcharges. 1 overcharge, 2 kills. More mass to reclaim for the Tempest. I think in this position, Swackle just needs to take map control. No reason to throw away such expensive units on this main base. And with map control, then just take the mass, make 10 Perseus, walk in, kill Tempest. More Perseus on their way. Surprised Swackle hasn't reclaimed all these civs. That's free mass. And yet another force, Tech 1, Tech 2. Moving in the direction of Swackle. Swackle choosing Tech 1 point defenses for defense. These are actually those Obsidians from a long time ago. 19 kills on one, 13 on the other. 16 kills on that mobile missile launcher. The Artie with 2. Swackle just looks like neglecting map control on this one. Of course, this is a best of 3. No, Tech 3 Artie. The next game is going to be a winter duel. And if that's not enough, we will see a game on Cragged Dunes. And those were all chosen by me and Napalm. Still got to choose some maps for week 5. Haven't decided that yet. We'll put those up probably tomorrow. So Tech 3 artillery for the Tempest. Still don't know if Tempest has played Iridium Blows for the U2000 championship. That's going to be a best of 3, where the Tempest is going to choose the first map and Iridium will choose the other 2. Iridium, meanwhile, on the ladder, has been absolutely dominating, really shooting through the rankings. He's, I believe, at around 1900 now. So when he first started playing, he was underneath 1700. Well, first played in the Worldwide People's Championship. Sure, started playing a long time before that. Looks like tech-to-point defenses all over the place. So anywhere you see red, it's tech-to-point defenses. Swakal just neglecting everything else. Tech 1 force moving in, and looks like Tempest should be able to defend. Meanwhile, Tech 3 artillery from Tempest. Tech-to-point defenses Tempest. He's really making defense here against Percy's. And actually, if he gets enough arty, you might think about making a push. More Percy's moving in. Tempest expecting a fatty. It's a reasonable expectation. Once again, I think these Percy's are just going to be a waste. That was a waste of Tech 3 arty. And these Percy's, just put them somewhere else and they will win. Harveys versus Percy's. Very much outgunned. Not many units that can do that to Harveys. Tempest continues to harass Swakal anywhere he doesn't have tech-to-point defense. And it looks like Swakal now moving in with this shielded ACU. Tech 3-point defenses. So he's going to go with Tech 3-point defense creep. And I think in this position, with all this air flying over Swakal's head, this is where mercies are the best way to go. For whatever reason, Tempest is going for Tech 3 air. Don't think he really has the power for Tech 3 air. And he's going for Strat Bomber. So in this case, a couple of mercies, just punish Swakal, at least take down his shield. And he will no longer really want to do this Tech 3-point defense creep. Actually, some artillery. Tech 3 shield plan for Swakal. And actually, a bit of that artillery could totally deny that shield. So maybe a couple of Tech 1 bombers instead of Tech 3 bomber, because even though on paper Tech 3 bomber is better, it'll take longer to build than it'll take Swakal to kill Tempest's base. Of course, once Swakal gets that shield, it'll be nearly impossible to kill. But a couple of Tech 1 bombers could totally take out that building shield. Tempest continues to make Tech 2 shields. So this is a futile enterprise here by the Tempest. Percy's and Tech 3 point defenses is going to be the end for the Tempest. And this game is going to have to go to game 2 on Winter Duel, where a victory for Swakal will wrap it up, and we should see a fight with them against SSSS, or Tempest can tie it up, and then we'd go to Craig Dunes. And it looks like Tempest thrown in the towel. He's basically got no more base. So he survived for a long time, but on this map, if you don't take the middle early on, so much reclaim, you're in a big hole. I did think that Swakal gave him a chance. A couple of mistakes by Swakal, but Tempest really didn't take it. There was that snipe attempt by Tempest, ran out of fuel, as well as some other things. Maybe could have been a little more aggressive. At a 47-minute game here, Week 7 Worldwide People's Championship. Close. Hello and welcome to the second game of this best of 3 between Swakal and Tempest. The Worldwide People's Championship Week 4 U1700 qualification, or the Challenger tourney. Looks like Swakal with UEF going second air, 6 P-gens. Once again, Tempest with Aeon. And if you're Aeon on this map, especially with the domination of Tech 1 air, you gotta get air control. Also, getting double gun with Aeon is very, very effective on this one, because it's really one of the few maps where it's a single choke point. Here, there's really no sneaky stuff. You just gotta just run the other player over. Oftentimes, there's arty battles across these 2 hills. Tech 1 point defenses, mobile missile launchers, things like that. One of the other, I believe, underplayed maps, although it does get boring sometimes, pretty linear. Nice scouter coming in from the Tempest, as well as some flares, multiple flares. Looks like some exposed engineers from Swackle. I think yeah, Tempest spotted that Engie. He might be thinking about taking it out. Looks like an attack move for Swackle Engineer, and it looks like he is confused. So now it's gonna, looks like it's gonna die. So some nice rating, but only one engineer for the price of 2 flares. Scout still in position. Scout for Tempest is gonna see another engineer, but looks like eventually it is gonna die to a tank. Second air from Tempest, but he is getting 7 pigeons instead of 6. It'll be a little slower, but and complete. This is bad from Tempest. He's neglecting that Hydra completely. It's actually one of the reasons Swackle will go with 6 instead of 7. To get the Hydra, probably actually has huge amounts of power. Yeah, he's got plus 65 while making air, so he can probably put another NG on 2 of that factory to make even more air. And given that Tempest is making factories as well, an air factory shouldn't have a land advantage. And now here come the bombers. Yeah, that's the worst thing that could happen to you. That was a great bomb. Though it partially missed. And a bomber from Tempest as well. So both players are going to try to bomb each other. But an interceptor from Swackle. Looks like that bomber from Tempest isn't going to get too many kills. Not takes out a very good radar. Then pays the price. We also see Hydra is going to be denied by Swackle. And without that Hydra, it's going to be very difficult to have this air battle be even. Because with so much more power, actually going Tech 2 mask structures already. Swackle doing some pretty crazy things too. He used medium metal. In terms of land, very even, but total air domination. 1 Tech 1 flak would be very big, or a couple mobile flags from the Tempest, but the Tempest has to always be wary about his land situation. He's actually losing health here. There's more and more red planes in the air, and once again the Hydra is not going to be completed. And the longer the Hydra isn't completed, the bigger hole the Tempest is in. Actually, at this point, I think Tempest is very much out of luck. He might be trying for a draw here, because those Auroras are causing quite a bit of damage. And I think that might be his best move here, is to just keep following and go for a draw. Swackle actually under 2,000, so a draw is totally possible. And we just might see that. The Tempest doesn't take the draw. I think the Tempest wanted for get the win, and he's not going to get it. He thought the Auroras might be able to get through, but they get stuck, and there's a Tech 1 point defense. So Swackle, the Tempest had the draw. It doesn't take it. It's totally dominated in air. Still no flak, and that's why people don't like playing with AN right now. You make a mistake, you have a nice little force there just completely disappear. And minute 7. Still no Hydra. Extremely depressing. Now our artillery should be able to take out that point defense. While the Tempest under 1,000 health sort of hanging out. Looks like he does have map control in terms of land, but very difficult to utilize it. Getting all your units just bombed. Swackle now at nearly 2,000 health. I'd actually love to see the Tempest move in once again. Maybe get a little bit of veterancy. Because just standing there isn't really going to help. Here in minute 8, the bombing continues, and it actually looks like, I think Swackle in this position, if he would go after these Tech 1 power generators, he could just completely finish the game, because then without power the Tempest wouldn't be able to produce anything. Instead, it looks like it's mass extractors that are the targets, and now more Auroras become the targets. And we finally see the first anti-air turret from the Tempest. A bit late, here minute 9, but it doesn't look like it's even going to be finished. Tempest, absolute power deficit. and both players call GG. And yeah, this is really going to put the nail in the coffin. Tempest moving in. It definitely could have been a draw, but the Tempest didn't take it. So it's going to be SSSS versus Swackle in week 4. So the new challenger is Swackle. See what happens in the final. Hello and welcome to Open Palms. This is the final of the U1700. We're going to get a new champion. This one's going to be between SSSS, who was the challenger from week 3. You might remember him as the crazy Romanian. Not really sure if that's true. But and Swackle is the American, who was the challenger from week 4. And this is week 4. Swackle going UEF, SSSS going Seraphim. SS has been going Seraphim every single game I've seen him play. It's been quite successful for him. Played extremely well in week 3. Really hoping week 5 seems more like week 2, because the last 2 weeks feels like we're in a hidden tourney where nobody has any clue that we're actually playing. But I guess we'll get through these dark ages, I guess. Hopefully. But one thing we gotta do, gotta ask Pilot to give us a spot in the tourney tab. Washy suggested that's a good idea. It seems like the obvious thing to do, but when you have this tourney that happens every single week, we might have to keep updating that, and that might confuse people as well, because it seems like just reading the instructions for this thing is confusing for people. But I think I understand, because oftentimes things are not correct as they're laid out. So here is Swackle going second air, but I believe all the rules for this are correct and self-consistent, so people can trust them. Second air from Swackle might put SS in quite a bit of trouble, because actually SS decided to walk and got his first 2 land, absolutely no air. Still no air factories planned, so a total land spam against second air. Celine's going to get behind Swackle's base. That's always annoying. Swackle with a major land spam of his own, and here come the bombers. Bomber then a scout. And it looks like the ACU for SS is going to move out to the right side. You see Celine's all over the place. Some really good units from SSS. Here comes a scout. These 2 engineers, the obvious target. Excellent bombing from Swackle. This is a standard Open Palms play. You can expect in more than half your battles, when you start, you will get bombed like that somewhere before minute 4. And this is great stuff from SS. He's got Celine's on these mask extractors. Tham here blocking any expansion with the engineers. Looks like the CUs are going to meet each other on the same side for both Swackle and SSSS. Good expansion for SS to the bottom left side. Also moving up with a tank. I keep hearing, oh yeah, this is the Celine rapid fire. Celine killing mask extractor and getting killed by bomb. Still have not seen any air whatsoever from SSS, who has restarted his land factory spam. Of course, it was temporarily stopped by Swackle's bombers. And now flak. 3 flags take care of a bomber, just barely. More bombers in the area. And now it looks like Tham's trying to deny any more expansion. Doesn't look like it's going to be successful. Once again, SS being very aggressive. This is where I think aggression can go over scouting. He just assumed that he can go in. He went in, killed the mask extractor. It's going to create even more problems. And I gotta say, it feels like there's more units for SSSS. He's getting units in many different positions, and emergency point defense is forced for Swackle. It does take care of the problem, but that's quite a bit of mass invested for Swackle in a very strange position. Looks like Swackle also moving in with some artillery. That gets killed. And Land Factory is very spread out for SSS. Actually getting a couple in the right corner. He's got one on the left, so this is pretty vulnerable here if Swallow decides to attack through the bottom. Swallow still operating with a massive air force, always bombing. I'd love to see him go after the Hydra on some of these P-gens. Of course, the bomber that tried to do that got hit by a flak, but no reason not to fly again. And SSS is beginning to fall into a pretty deep hole here. In terms of map control, he is behind. The middle completely belongs to Swallow. Air completely belongs to Swallow, and it is causing damage. It is taking out engineers, and we are seeing first air now coming out for SSS. A couple interceptors. Those need to get to work. Yet another assault coming in from SSS. I'd say a bit disorganized, but it is moving in. It'll be very similar numbers. And if they can take out the engineers, it'll be totally worth it. Looks like they do. Complete lack of micro from Swallow. He kind of forgot to move his units, and they all die. And this is going to be a major problem for Swallow and SSS. Great use of units in multiple positions. He's really turning the map control in this game. And one thing to note, I see absolutely no artillery, just tanks and flag from SSS. That does make his forces very strong in the 1v1 battles as long as he micros. His artillery is very easy to dodge, and it looks like SSS, instead of moving to the back, is going to move directly into Swallow's base again. We got to remember there is a point defense here for Swallow, so running in deep like that's probably a bad idea. Swallow also sitting on 2 Tech 2 mask ejectors, got Tech 1 in the bank, and yeah, so SSS shouldn't go in there. Swallow on a bit of a counterattack here on the bottom, and then that Tech 1 point defense, 6 kills already, is going to get more. This is a most unorthodox defense, but very effective. 11 kills. Huge amount of reclaim. Basically mass delivery from SSS to Swallow. Also Tech 2 mask ejector, a single one for SSS. And this has been a great Celine actually with 2 kills already. Denying those back 3 mask ejectors. Nobody's on the side ledges. And SSX actually taking the lead. Denial of all that mass here on both sides has made a toll on Swallow's economy. Although Swallow with a nice force here running by should be able to take a couple mask ejectors out. We do see Tech 2 land now for Swallow. Some mongoose. SSS with the gun. Love to see that used. So while he was building it, he wasn't playing defense, and this could be very significant for Swallow. Swallow is a bit alone here. He is getting an upgrade of his own. Looks like it is the Tech 2. And Swallow is going to move out, or SSS, I'm sorry, is going to move out. Followed by a pretty big entourage of Tech 1 units, also some engineers. An attack with Tech 2 from Swallow. It's both players attacking on either side of the map. And this is where Tech 2 should make its mark. Should give Swallow the advantage. But up on top, Swallow could be in trouble. He is just finishing up his upgrade. I think, yeah, this is scouting from SSS. You will see a very vulnerable ACU all by himself. We see a response from Swallow. He's going to try to pull as many units back to play defense. Swallow won't cancel his upgrade. That's going to be critical. With Tech 2, he's getting Tech 1 point defense. Got to see how many kills SSS ACU gets. And a surprising turn. It looks like it's still a battle here. SSS winning, even against Tech 2. A couple Tech 2 not really micro properly. I think that's because Swallow is very focused on what he's doing with his ACU. SSS 25 kills, Tech 2 point defense. Coming up for Swallow is going to make that area very secure. 7 kills in the Mongoose. That gets out of that battle, which could be significant. Can do some damage against mask extractors. And actually got to say SSS is in a position to start attacking on both sides. He's already attacking, and some gunships. Tech 2 air from Swallow. That's very nice. This is nice to see 2 air factories, one with interceptors, other with the gunships. But there was some Tech 1 flak that denied that. Definitely a lot more air for Swallow this entire game. Gave him advantage early, but perhaps he should have used that advantage. Switched to a little more land, but it's just straight up Tech 1 land spam plus the gun. And SSS is having huge success against Swakle. Even though Swakle has a tech-to-point defense. I think these tech-to-point defenses, given enough time, should give Swakle a breather here. But the big problem is here on the left side, which the gunships might be able to solve. And one thing we got to note, so much reclaim. Whoever's going to grab this left side is going to get so much mass. We already see some engineers on the case for SSS. That's going to be very significant. SSS retreats from the battle with 38 kills. Tech 1 bombers now from SSS. And this could be a massacre here. Tech 1 point defense and a Tech 2 point defense. That's been really the weakest point, I think, for SSS in terms of his unit micro. He runs into Tech 1 point defenses. You got to remember that 11 kill one. This one only got 3. It appears to be a successful defense of Swakle on the left side. And once again, units running in. Except they run in, they don't want to keep going deep. But usually you get units in here, you start killing engineers and power generators. But the unorthodox point defense is successful. And what the heck? 3 kills Celine. Celines are not supposed to be this dominant. That's 3 mass extractors denied for about the last 16 minutes. So that's 13 minutes times 6, whatever the heck. That's 1,000 mass or so denied by a Celine, which is very impressive by SSS Swakle trying to do a Tech 2 point defense creep. And he's actually facing a huge Tech 1 force, together with a full health Tech 1 ACU with the gun. See Swakle doing the right thing, going to Tech 1 point defense. But he could be in a bit of danger. Swakle does have Tech 2 gunships standing by. He will now begin to retreat. SSS overcharges Tech 2 point defenses. Although a couple Tech 2 point defenses to retreat 2-4 Swakle. So definitely a very even game. And this is a major blow to SSS economy. Well, if you didn't have interceptors, it would be a major blow. 60 health on a Tech 2 mass extractor, so that attack was absolutely useless. I expected it to do a little more damage, but those interceptors from SSS came out of nowhere. Saved the day. Good defense. Now Swakle not in a very good position. I think he wanted an attack here, ran into a superior force. Left side exposed once again. Another group of gunships moving in. Not really sure where they're going. There's still a huge interceptor force here. Swakle doing random attacks with very expensive units, and he's going to pay the price. Each one of those is about 200 mass. So we just saw 1,000 mass get massacred for no reason. We do have to say Swakle in a very secure area here. A lot of dead units, a lot of potential reclaim. Here, minute 19, we see the reclaim, 6,300 for SSS Swakle, 5,000, so fairly close. Although there's probably still just as much as has already been reclaimed still in the field. It looks like gunships have left their mark here on the bottom. So still good rating from Swakle, although a couple of those gunships were thrown away. Swakle moves down a pretty major force. Tech 1 plus Tech 2 gunships going to try to finally secure the left side. Also an attack on the right. SSS 48 kills. I think attacking with Tech 1 for Swakle on the right is not going to work. Perhaps a point defense creep could work. And now once again, looks like a lack of micro here from Swakle. He's not really using his units. But these gunships are going to tip any kind of these fights. And Ilsha was on the field for SSS. That's going to be pretty nice. Although once again, gunships. Swakle throwing away gunships 1,000 mass at a time, which is never a winning strategy. And that was cruise missiles now. Mobile cruise missiles. So a Tech 2 point defense creep perhaps no longer really an option for Swakle. Swakle once again goes in an attack, but in the face of Ilshawas, that's not really going to work. Just Tech 1. Swakle attacks with artillery. Tech 2 SSS takes care of it. Swakle with a hopeful shield. It's not going to work. SSS just moves in, goes ahead and takes it. And Swakle's got to retreat. Swakle's facing a very strong force here. Losing health rapidly. I think he actually just might die here. A little too much aggression for Swakle, so sometimes aggression is bad, gets you in trouble. I'm surprised I didn't see any overcharges against these Ilshawas on the retreat for Swakle. Swakle retreats behind Tech 1 point defense. Gunships moving in, try to save him. Great overcharge from Swakle. 20 kills. And I think, yeah, this is extremely close, but Swakle gets out of it. SSS is going to retreat. That was a very close encounter there. I think Swakle was in real danger of dying. More tech-to-point defenses and more reclamation, of course. So this entire game we've seen two major battles. ACU and ACU, and Tech 1, Tech 2 versus Tech 1, Tech 2. Just leaving more and more wrecks on the field. Not much has happened in the middle. Nobody really has that anymore. Oh, that was, what was... Not really sure what that was. Yeah, it's just mobile cruise missiles. And mobile cruise missiles from SSS are going to deny this TMD from Swakle. Is this Celine? Still 3 kills. Nobody's on the sides this entire game, just a little too busy to make it drop. I think just grabbing the sides from either player this entire game would have probably made the difference. Also, not having the back for Swakle perhaps is the only difference in terms of how much mass has been collected by these two players. Though we gotta say this has been much more painful for Swakle than any of SSS expansions. Tech 3 land spam mobile missile launcher for SSS. Tech 1 air spam. We got another Tech 2 factory making Ilshavas. Tech 2 power. So firmly in the Tech 2 stage with massive Tech 1 land spam and more masses being delivered to Swakle's base via SSS weak Tech 1 tanks running into Tech 2. And it looks like another major assault coming in against Swakle. Swakle sitting next to pillars under a shield. I think this could be a mistake, although Swakle so low on his health, he has to respect this. He goes ahead and retreats. It looks like it's going to be a loss of position here for Swakle. Can't imagine him completely losing it, so he should be looking forward to quite a bit of reclaim. Although SSSS with the gun moving in, and once again Swakle's got to respect that. Don't want to ever underestimate Ilshavas. Swakle moving in with some Tech 2 forces. And now SSSS might be in a bit of trouble. He's got more forces coming in. One thing that SS has is total air control, which means he has total recon, so he knows when to retreat and when to attack. Absolutely nothing happening on the left side. Both players focused on this battle between the two ACUs. SSS 61 kills, Swakle 47. And still overcharges coming from both players. So much carnage all over this field. I've seen wreckage. This is like Tunnel Annihilation back in the day. You make some of those Tech 2 laser towers, you just fill the whole ground with these, send some Farks out to reclaim. Somebody's need to send some Farks out. Like we got some engineers working reclaiming mass. Let's check out the reclamation. We got almost 20,000 for SSS Swakle, 17,000, nearly dead even. Overcharges back and forth traded. SSS retreats. Overcharges from both players, and this has just been a brutal battle. This is a really good match between SSS and Swakle. Would like to thank the players for playing so great, and here come the gunships. Swakle perhaps thinking SSS is low enough to try to snipe him. It's probably hopeful. There's plenty of interceptors for SSS to take care of that problem. But one thing that Swakle has done is won this position, which means he's got to get engineers on the case and grab the mass as soon as possible. Turn it into something like Tech 3, and he's got Tech 3. Huge build capacity on the Tech 3 land factory from Swakle. Well, this could be a huge victory for Swakle. He needs it. He is a bit behind. Although, yeah, that was another good overcharge. He is in a bit of danger here. One thing to note, SS is neglecting attack on the left side. Nothing but gunships covering it. And one thing we got to say is neither player is sending engineers to grab this mass. Well, a couple here for SSS. Swakle trying to establish control Tech 2 point defenses. And Ilshavas, we are seeing Tech 3 land from SS as well. This is a Tech 2 factory. Here's the Tech 3 factory. Actually, air staging beacons, that's very rare. And now we're going to see the Tech 3s join the ACUs. We just saw a whole bunch of Titans get killed. And this could be really bad for Swakle because you don't want to get outnumbered against Tech 3. Your health is going to go down very quickly. And Swakle now
after having a great victory. I think it was that overcharge from SSS because he had the gun, he had the range. He kind of caught those Titans napping, and those have been so good against this Force Swackle. 30 minutes, 40 seconds, dies after an excellent fight. Seraphim and Yef. You can only see something like this in Seraphim versus Yef. You can see he was trying to go for a draw with the gunstrips, but unable to do so. So game 1 goes to SSSS. Game 2 is going to be on tag V2. I can never say that map, but that awesome map that has air and land and water on a very small space. Hello and welcome to game 2 between SSSS and Swackle in this final of week 4 Worldwide People's Championship. That's getting to be a very long name, hard to say, but hopefully people can forgive me for that. Both players going with Seraphim, not surprising with Floating Arty. And this is one of the greatest maps I think ever made for this game. I don't think it's on the ladder anymore, but you can see that you can go into the water and just stay in the water. And I've actually seen people win it without actually being able to get a foothold on land. Of course, there is a beach with a whole bunch of reclaim, but the beach has no mass extractors. There are multiple hiders in the water, 3 hiders in the water. There's a total of 5 hiders on land, but of course this land which is exposed on water, if you get any Tech 2, Navy, all these things are very vulnerable. But there are many different situations that can happen. Looks like second air from Swackle. It's never clear what SSS is doing. He just gets one factory. He doesn't really show a second. Also big chunks of mass. These choke points here very narrow, so it's usually hard to break through those if you get some point defenses. Mobile missile launchers though, from the top, can shoot down on the bases. And it usually turns into a nice land battle over here, air and naval battle on the bottom. And we'll see, it looks like a total of 5 PGN's second air. No, maybe 6, yeah, 6 for Swackle. 6 is usually when you get the Hydra. It looks like he's going after the Hydra. While SSS is on the move with the ACU. No one's in the water yet, which is surprising. There's a big chunk of mass. Oftentimes you see second Navy, one of the only maps where second Navy is a viable choice. You see a Selene versus Selene battle. And one thing, it's still +0. Gotta say is, looks like SSS is always Seraphim. Swackle switching to Seraphim from EAF, so we'll see if that makes a difference in terms of whether or not he's used to the faction. Because in terms of micro and things like that, it often makes a difference. Although Seraphim EF, if you had to choose the most similar factions, those are the 2. Big changes, of course, are, well, the gun, upgraded gun for the ECUs. One is more rapid, the other one more damage per shot. Also the Arty, of course, much more rapid for Seraphim in general, just a better unit. The bomber is just a single bomb. That was a raider and engineer taken out by Swackle. So once again, Swackle showing that he's a little better at making bombers, which usually gives him an early advantage. But in terms of just straight up land battle, we saw that in the previous game there. These 2 players are dead even. If you had to give an advantage, I think it's the advantage goes to SSS's gun. Some really clutch overcharges there at the end. And now we see an attempt to make a Navy. This is going to be denied by Swackle. Swackle also getting a Navy. This is, here coming up minute 5. Whoever gets the first Navy is going to get a huge boost. More bombers for Swackle, just unrelenting. I could get Swackle in trouble in terms of total units he might have. He's got a total of 3 land factory coming up with 4 and 5. See 4 land factories, 4 SSS, and actually getting the 5th. Those few units can make a difference in these narrow spaces between the 2 ACUs. Both players successfully getting into the back here with the mass extractors plus rock reclaim. It looks like a frigate and a submarine. Both players going for a sub, a little quicker for SSS, but looks like the difference is pretty negligible as Swackle begins to retreat. He's got bombers on the case. I have a feeling we're going to see some ACU and ACU action very soon. Both players standing by with supporting forces.
You can see a stream of units from both players coming in for support. SS is going to pull his units back behind his ACU. Both ACUs picking up the mass extractors, and this is as basically even as you can get. Now we're going to see some drops. This is going to be something different. Submarine for SS meanwhile moving in. And this is where submarine warfare is basically going to be who gets the first shot. We are seeing floating arty on its way from Swackle. It looks like he's going to try to use it to deny naval production. This is always a great idea. This is a Settons-like gameplay here. This is excellent stuff from Swackle. Meanwhile, Swackle thinking about attacking using floating or using just artillery to force SS back a little bit. He also has some bombers. This is good. This is excellent from Swackle. He's the only one now with a viable naval factory, although there is an engineer here for SSS, and of course this floating arty is going to do a whole bunch of damage to SSS. So I think in this position now, Swackle has made really important steps to evening up this matchup. Swackle's got to not make a mistake. You don't want to stand still against the Seraphim artillery. And I think he did there for a second. He's actually losing health very rapidly. Swackle continues to retreat. Got 11 kills, SSS on 21, so a little more veterancy for SSS. And it looks like it's a victory for SSS, and with Swackle with such low health, he's got to be very careful. He's got more units in support. Swackle does have a victory here on the bottom. Swackle also, yeah, this is just deck 1, has a whole bunch of engineers standing by. But Swackle now with 300 health, and this is just, even though Swackle had the better of play, and he's going to try to hide behind this mountain to regenerate a little bit while chasing SSS down with some Tech 1 land forces, and Swackle, by a difference of 500 health, SSS is going to be the champion in week 4. Extremely close. Both games just as close as it could be. So excellent final in this week. I'd like to thank both players for participating. And of course Swackle hopefully plays in week 5, but SSS is going to have to defend his championship week 5 as well. So we'll probably see both of these players again. Hopefully people enjoyed this.